Hello and welcome back, viewers. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching NewsX. Our top focus now stays on India and Malaysia, who've signed a major MOU and several agreements and memoranda of understanding. In fact, India and Malaysia have also issued a strong statement against terrorism in their joint statement. The joint statement reads, the two prime ministers unequivocally and strongly condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. They called for zero tolerance of terrorism and for concerted international efforts to combat terrorism in a comprehensive and sustained manner. They agreed to counter radicalization and violent extremism, combat financing of terrorism, prevent use of new and emerging technologies for terrorist purposes through cooperation and information and knowledge sharing, exchange of best practices and capacity building. Recognizing the linkages between terrorism and transnational organized crime, the two leaders agreed to cooperate in the area of transnational organized crime, including through sharing of information and best practices. The two leaders reaffirmed commitment to strengthen bilateral and multilateral cooperation in countering terrorism, including in the UN and FATF. Joining me now in this discussion is defense expert, Lieutenant Colonel retired Himanshi Singh. Thank you very much, retired Colonel, for joining me in this discussion. Firstly, how significant do you think this joint statement and the MOU that the two countries have signed is?
Good morning, Priti. See, for years, the relationship between New Delhi and Kuala Lumpur was a roller coaster. But now what we're seeing is a comprehensive strategic partnership in action. And why it matters to us, see, when Prime Minister Modi says there is no room for double standards on terrorism, he's sending a message to the world that by getting Malaysia, which is a key voice in Islamic world and a leader in ASEAN, that if they are condemning cross-border terrorism, India has secured a major diplomatic win. It means the narrative on global terror is unifying. And moreover, see, they are not talking about old school security. They are specifically calling out the use of new emerging technologies for terror. And when we are talking about AI-driven radicalization, crypto financing and drone tech, India and Malaysia are signaling that next war is not just on ground, but it is through codes and digital footprints. So they are building a firewall that protects the entire Indo-Pacific. And thirdly, see, if you look at the map, Malaysia sits on the Strait of Malacca. It is world's busiest maritime choke point, and India is the guardian of Indian Ocean. So when these two agree to link counter-terrorism with the organized crime, they are actually saying that we are policing the high seas together, and we are seeing around the globe how who is controlling these choke points have the bigger say. So, you know, from piracy to smuggling and extremist movements, I think this partnership will secure the artillery of global trade, and it will make it significantly safer. So I think it's not a handshake, it is a strategic alignment. Kriti.
Colonel, also talk to us about how important really this partnership is in the Indian Ocean region and the threats that are there.
See, when we talk about the threat, we see that, you know, Malaysia is a strong autonomous and it has its own exclusive economic zone. So it limits the salami slicing tactics which are used by militias in the region. And by formalizing securities and peacekeeping cooperation, India and Malaysia are signaling that the Strait of Malacca will remain open, international waterways are safer, and somewhere, you know, they are able to direct counter to any potential in Malacca dilemma. So I think single power can, if they try to block the trade there, I think they'll be able to navigate. Then moreover, you know, China is also a potential threat, and Malaysia is a massive trade, has a massive trade relationship with Beijing. So when India also signs something like this with Malaysia, So it is about, making the world secure, because Malaysia is going to chair ASEAN in 2026. So we need a balance of power, and India's commitment to UN clause in a joint statement, it is a signal that Strait of Malacca, South China Sea must remain governed by law, not by might, which we are seeing in the world that everybody is trying to have might is right, but such treaties and such MOUs bring a stronger message to the world. And India, when having a MOU signed with Malaysia, it is choosing a rule-based order, which is safer for the world. Yeah, over to you.
All right, retired Lieutenant Colonel, thanks very much for joining me and speaking to us. Viewers, with that, let's also tell you that Prime Minister Modi has also met